Okay, everybody. The time is 10:35 p.m. What I'm about to do is give you a brief explanation on some of the things that I've had to deal with, as well as my targeting, and as well as the things that I've have experienced at a younger age. Now then, going back to the time when I was still living with my mother, a lot of unexplained things were happening. I couldn't make heads or tails of it because at the time, I didn't have the knowledge that I got now. So when I started looking back from now, I started to basically put the pieces to the puzzle together and started to understand why certain things were happening the way they were happening, right? So to give you a brief explanation on just some of the things that happened, my mom, she was going through a lot, man, a whole lot, and at the time, like I stated before, I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. And you now then, she had a lot of issues with her health. She ended up landing a pretty really good job, by the way. It was pretty much paying her a lot of money. This is like the corporate building for the seller of a cellular company. Now she was getting trips to like Cancun. She was getting trips to the White Sox games and all that stuff. I know because I was there when it happened. She ended up getting invited to go to all that stuff, right? Now at the same time, like my mom, she was gone for a while, like and then she left me over at my grandfather's place. This is after she came and picked me up from my grandfather's place, right? So after that, right, a whole bunch of unusual things. I think my mom was getting too close to something, or she found out something that somebody didn't want her to know, or maybe she just pissed off the wrong person. I don't know. But this is basically what happened to her. She had unusual seizures from back to back. It got to a point to where we were in and out of homeless shelters. We were moving around all over the place from state to state. Whenever she did get a job, it was to a point to where like she would have to just she would have to. It wasn't just so much as just getting another job. She would literally have to leave the home she was in just to move somewhere else just to get another job. That's how it was. Now, looking back at my situation and just about damn near every school I was in, a lot of unusual things were happening. Like I had this unusual tautness. There was stuff that was happening to me, unusual teasing, unusual bullying. I know there are bullies out there, but like this was like this seemed like constructed bullying, in my opinion, because like it got to a point where I just stopped dealing with people. I just go off on my own. But they would literally go to where I was at to fuck with me, right? And I wouldn't do shit to any of these people. I wouldn't do nothing to provoke them. I wouldn't do nothing, any of that. I wouldn't do none of that. So it was a lot of character defamation I was going through when I was a child, going through high school, through elementary, all of that shit. Now then, to the point to where, man, dude, a lot of my family don't know about this, but I literally had to witness my mom literally having these seizures. I had to witness her have. I believe this whoever doctor that mixed up her medication. I believe the bastard did it on purpose. He deliberately. I believe he was paid off to do it. Um, Other than that, it was just so much stuff that was happening. It seemed just too much of a coincidence when it was happening. It was a time where she even had a seizure, a bad one, while after she had picked me up from school and she was driving us home. Right now, she was literally fighting the hell out of this damn seizure, trying to drive me back home to keep me safe. Any wrong move could have happened to would have been into both of us. Car crash or anything like that, man. Anything like that. She was fighting that shit desperately. And she was able to fight it until we got home. She was able to get us home safely. She was. Let me tell you something, man. There ain't nothing scarier than that. Having to watch your own parent going through some shit like that, man. But it gets worse. It gets much worse. It gets to a point to where like a lot of verbal abuse was happening between both her and the guy she was dating at the time. I don't know how serious that got, but it got so bad after I had left because me and the guy she was dating didn't get along. Um, Even before then, it seems like she would have to just for us to survive, man. And it ain't the most proudest moment in my mom's life, I know, but she would literally have to use like dating apps just to find someone to be willing to take us in just for us to survive. That's how crazy it was, dude. And it gets worse. It gets much worse, man. It gets 10 times worse. Now, fast forwarding to when like to where that was the last time like I did see my mom. I did remain in contact with her at some points not too long ago before her death. Now, my family's trying to figure out what happened with her death, right? Coroner's not even giving us an explanation. All he's saying is that the conditions related to her death cannot be explained. So now I'm looking back at what the fuck was happening until now, and I'm like, there's some other bullshit going on with this shit that we didn't know about. So then, unfortunately, like with me, like a whole bunch of shit started happening to me, and I couldn't even make heads or tails out of it. Now, back when I was a child, the uh, the whole things that many other fellow target individuals will tell you about when they're dealing with this nano shit that they lace you with, they will tell you that they have bumps in the back of their head. They will tell you this. I've had this since I was a child. The whole tinnitus thing, I've had that since I was a child as well. There is no make believing that shit up because I asked my mother directly, what the hell was this? She just told me it was hair bumps. Now I'm finding out this shit was definitely not no damn hair bumps. These are not normal to have. I've already shown you guys a photograph of someone who was severely laced with this shit and he didn't know about it. Let me tell you something, man. This stuff overgrew so bad it was basically a fucking growth on the back of his head. That's how bad it was. I don't know what the hell they really wanted something from that guy pretty damn badly to lace him that much because he didn't even know why his stuff was growing that much and he had to go to a doctor to get it surgically removed. He had to get it surgically removed. That's how bad the growth was. But fast forwarding onto my situation now, after I wasn't aware about any of this shit happening, and until after the Great Louisiana flood had happened. Now I'm staying over at my cousin's place, right? Now even before then, there was a lot of unusual shit happening, and it was happening like just with random coworkers. It got to a point to where like I noticed certain people following me around, just keeping an eye out, stalking and shit, and I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. Right? I didn't know. I had no idea. So, fast forward a little bit later, I've caught at least two cars just parked out of nowhere, just staring at me, whatever. I pull out the camera and then they just take off. Now, fast forward into where I'm at my cousin's place, right? I'm at her place. I'm staying there for a bit. And apparently, now that I started looking back, I started to realize that they were targeting both her and her family. Again, I'm not saying any names in this video feed. I'm not, just for personal reasons. My family most likely will hear this video, but I'm letting you know precisely what happened, of which they are not telling, which they won't tell you. What basically happened, because I remember one of my cousins, she told me that her child was getting involved with these people, not actual adults, but actually kids her age, who were like a clique, like a gang or some shit like that, right? And I'm like, why the fuck? It just didn't add up. And then I started thinking back. I'm like, wait a minute. Through my research, I'm finding out that they do fuck with kids at a young age. I am one who was a victim of this shit because I was being victimized by this shit at a younger age. And it wasn't just me either. There were other kids going through this shit too. And nobody had no fucking idea. Maybe the parents had some idea, but can you imagine being a child, being aware of that? Dude, childhood is supposed to be the fucking safe haven of your life. You ain't supposed to know about any of the horrible shit that goes on in the world until you are older, when you are ready to face that shit. Can you imagine going through that crap at a younger age? Being aware, man, that is fucking horrifying. That is horrifying. I mean, sure, it'll help you build more experience, but no one should ever have their childhood stripped away from them like that, man. That's fucked up. It is. Anyway, it gets to with her, it gets a little bit even more complicated to where like the situation to where like she ends up just apparently having it was a lot of sabotaging going with her job. She had a work from home job. She had it made. And it didn't make no fucking sense what her fucking boss was doing. I want people to understand this. It's in order to destroy me, to get to me, they were trying to basically destroy both my cousin and her family to do it. So I want people to understand this. They don't give a fuck whether it's a kid or an adult. They don't give a fuck even if it's a baby. These people have no sympathy, man. And people need to understand what this technology is doing. This shit is so sinister that it allows a completely different individual to use a machine and literally program the person who is victimized by this machine. The person who is connected to the machine is literally being programmed to do a specific function, is being manipulated to do a specific function, and this torture goes on 24/7. It doesn't stop. They don't stop with this shit. If you're a target individual, you go outside, you are automatically being stalked. You go anywhere they are there, man. They are fucking there. But it's only when you're within the city limits that these assholes are there. You go outside the city limits and you're in the freaking forest and shit like that. You're on unpredictable terrain. They can't do half of the psyop bullshit they do because first off, you can catch them in the middle of anything because they can't really explain any of the shit that they're doing. They can't really get away with half the shit they're gonna be able that they are able to do to some of these other TIs onto me because of what I already know and what I'm capable of doing. Hence why they had me shackled for so long. Now, apparently the programming that which this stuff does, I'm hearing from other TIs that apparently people break out of this around their 30s. I'm almost 30 years old. And this shit just so happened to become overt close to while I'm turning 30 years old. That can't just be a coincidence. So I want to my family who hears this message from me, understand that these bastards are responsible for the death of these bastards who are doing this shit are responsible for the death of my mother. And they're responsible for both programming me into doing whatever the fuck it was they programmed me to do. Those are the same assholes who are responsible for this shit. I don't know why my mom was targeted. Maybe it was out of protecting me. Maybe it was something about me that they were after, but she refused, and because of that, she got targeted. I don't know. I don't know, but I wish I did know the reason. Um, Fast forwarding after that, now parts of I'm not gonna say who. Like I said, I'm not saying no names, but parts of my cousin's family on the other side, those people are definitely involved. And this situation happened to where like the guy was caught going. Like I literally caught the guy red-handed going through my shit while I was still living over at my cousin's place. He was literally caught wearing my stuff, and the dude just so happened to be wearing a red shirt. A red shirt. This wasn't no random thing. No, this wasn't no random stuff that he like from the shirt that he was wearing to the shoes. All of the stuff that belonged to me that he was wearing, a red shirt and red shoes. What is that? TIs, you know what that is. The fact that he would go in front of me wearing that shit. And it's crazy because like I don't know how much else like this dude was basically paid to fucking dig through my shit. Someone paid him off. And then I'm finding out that even farther that another motherfucker part of that side of the family. Now, I'm not saying all of those people on that side of the family are bad, but I'm telling you, some of those people on that side of the family involved, as well as both sides. Both sides. There are family members within both sides who are involved in this bullshit, but you don't know who they are. I honestly believe some of them are forced, and I believe some of them are willingly going through with this shit. Some of them were willing to do this shit out off a whim just because they were being paid to do it. It gets it gets worse, man. It gets much worse. The the situation with the situation at my job, at the job I was working at, got so bad. Like I had there was constant honeypot attempts that they would try out. right? Constant honeypot attempts. In fact, before I go any farther, let me just make sure this damn thing. Okay, good, it's recording. I had to make sure because like this is like the third fucking attempt that I've tried at this, and I really don't feel like fucking with this again. But I'm gonna make sure this message gets out. Even though I don't feel like fucking with it, I'm gonna make damn sure this message gets out. Um, there was several honeypot attempts at my old job. Apparently, now what happened with that, right? Apparently, before the honeypot attempts, there was a lot of character defamation going on, a lot of unnecessary shit that was being said directly to me. Whenever I like a lot of nitpicking shit that just didn't make any damn sense, and like it was a constant thing. It was just a constant thing. Whenever there was a different person, it was always some bullshit out of nowhere, and it just didn't make any sense. Now, here's the thing: it ain't no when you have someone saying to another person just because you're not in a mood to talk. When you have someone talking to the person who's trying to get a response out of you, and they tell that person, "Oh, that guy's just in his own world." Now, what does that tell you, people? Let me tell you something about that term. I was told that when I was 5 years old, when I was from between 5 and 6. I heard a teacher say that to me. The same fucking term, that I was just in my own fucking world. And I honestly believe there was some reason these assholes who were involved in this shit prevented me out of a high school education. They prevented me from getting my diploma. I don't know what it is about me that they were so desperate to basically suppress knowledge so badly. I don't know why, man. The fact that I'm able to build the stuff that I'm able to build, the fact that I'm able to do the stuff that I'm able to do should be proof enough that I am truly intelligent in some factors. I'm not some fucking Einstein. I'm not saying that, but I am very handy with electronics. But I think that from what a lot of people explain, like they do this shit to people to prevent them to becoming and developing into the people who they are would be capable of becoming. I think it has a lot to do with that, a lot to do with that. But anyway, time to get back on topic. I just wanted to point that out that that's something that has been basically stated, not even just once, not even just twice, but damn near 14 times in my lifetime that I've heard that same fucking phrase. 14 times. Now, there's been several different character assassination attempts when it came to dealing with me or whatever. Just a lot of random shit just like that or whatever. So I just started ignoring them, doing my job. They would eventually start to try to send a female towards my, towards me or whatever, to basically stir up a conversation. Now this is when the honeypotting started to happen. Yeah, but with one person, I just broke off the conversation, got back to my work, and I started to realize what that was. It was just to basically keep me in the midst of a conversation, not working, so they can basically say, "Oh, well, you're not doing your job," this, that, yada, yada, yada. Now, later on, they get another person working in there, and this so happens to be a young female around my age, right? Now, out of all the people they could have asked who are all veterans working in there to basically show the ropes how to do whatever, they chose me to do it. I didn't think much of it at the time, right? It wasn't until this woman started getting very unusually flirtatious, right? And I'm like, that in order to break off the conversation, I'm like, you do realize like the supervisor's right there, right? You might want to just get back to doing your job, right? So I do that because I'm not trying to just be sitting around not doing my damn job, right? And she should know better not, especially being a new recruit, you should know better not to be fucking around like that. It's nothing wrong with conversation, but like just literally trying to keep the egg on the conversation on and on and on and on and on. No, it gets worse. Apparently, this woman was apparently stalking, like literally staring me down like crazy or whatever. It got so bad that she would park herself right where the back door is, and she would be staring at me through the damn cracks of where the bins are. So what I had to do, right, because it was too much of a damn distraction, I had to turn the bids around just to prevent that shit from happening. So when they started to realize, and let me tell you something, man, this damn woman did so much to get my attention. It is insane. It literally gave me the fucking creeps. Okay, it did. Um, we got to a point to where she damn near, and I even fucking told my cousin about this shit too. I fucking told her about this shit because this shit was getting creepy as hell, man. Um, it got to a point to where like before I get to the creepy part, it got to a part to where like I was having just a regular conversation with somebody. It was a misunderstanding. I was trying to clear it up. She butts in. I told her to just, like, it's pretty damn rude of what you're doing. Back off with her, yada, yada, yada. She throws a temper tantrum, runs off to the office area, which is kind of suspicious or whatever, instead of the supervisor. So I'm like, she doesn't go to the supervisor. She goes into the other office. So I'm like, okay, whatever. This didn't make any sense to me, but, whatever. Now, it gets to a point to where she damn near runs over my fucking foot, right? She damn near runs over my foot. She almost did. But I literally moved out the way before she could do it. And I'm kind of pissed off because like she literally was watching where she was going as she did it. So she knew, she was conscious of what she was doing, man. She knew. So she's going like, "Hey, I would just get sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, or whatever. I would be hurt if I had hurt you or some shit like that." So I'm like, whatever. And then it gets to a point to where she is just constantly trying to egg on a conversation. And this time I'm working on something, and then she drops the question that gave me the fucking creeps. Why don't you want me looking at you, and why don't you ever try to look at me? I'm like, okay, you know what? Get the fuck away from me right now. Get the fuck away from me right now. Those were my precise words, and I said it very bluntly and loud for everybody to hear that shit. I said, get the fuck away from me. I didn't care if I swore. I didn't care because I kindly said no, said leave me the fuck alone. I've lost track of how many times I said leave me alone, like nicely, but apparently somebody just didn't get the memo. Fast forward again, so now they changed the situation, the scenario around to where they try to make me jealous of the woman that I didn't want in the first place. And I know this because the dude literally blurted out that he was trying to intentionally make me jealous of that fucking woman. So you already can guess what happened. Like several times they would just show themselves out and publicly and shit or whatever just to make me jealous. It kind of, one thing that did get me pissed off is the fact that we were doing their work and they weren't contributing. They were just basically just sitting there not doing shit. And I couldn't make any sense. I'm like, man, you guys need to get off your asses and do some work. We're not just gonna be sitting here doing your fucking part of the work through this whole damn day. So I'll go over to the damn supervisor's office, letting them know. Because it's not so much of me being pissed off. I don't mind working, but I know other people aren't like me. So I feel kind of it's unfair to the others, right? So I'll go out and speak my mind to the office. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like those people are just doing nothing. Those two are doing nothing but just sitting on their asses. So I don't give a fuck whether they fuck each other. I don't give a fuck whether they kiss one another. I don't give a damn about that shit. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me or my job or anything of the shit that I was hired to do. None whatsoever, man. So going a little bit farther than that, right? It gets to a point to where I'm on my way because I'm getting internet installed at my old place, right? The place to where I caught those two assholes trying to stalk me and shit, right? And apparently the dude who she's dating, he's ended up going like, "Hey man, hey, you mad? You mad? You mad?" I'm like, dude, I don't have time to really get into that conversation with you. I don't give a fuck because first off, my fucking apartment was way across town, on the other side of town. The damned internet installer guy, the Wi-Fi installer guy, was there that moment while as soon as I was getting off of work. So normally I would catch the bus, but that's like an hour and a half. So what I had to do, right? What I had to do was basically catch an Uber to get there. So I catch an Uber to get there. I make it there, get my stuff installed, yada yada yada. That's done. Now, all the time that I'm still living, even in that apartment, I'm finding signs that people were in that apartment, that people were going in and out of there, man. And I couldn't figure out. I'm like, what the fuck is like? I didn't bring a female at all. I didn't bring no fucking company in my apartment. But why am I finding a female hair on the floor? I know damn well the entire time I lived there, I did not bring no damn body in my apartment. I didn't let nobody in there. The only time anybody was in there, it was nothing but two dudes, and those two guys were service workers. The one dude treated the apartment for pesticides. The other guy came in there, and he was the one to basically install the Wi-Fi. That was it. There wasn't nobody else. I know I didn't bring no females in there. So why am I finding a female hair on my floor? It just didn't make any damn sense. It didn't. The only time that my family ever did go there was the first time I moved in, and that was when they first saw the apartment. Now the apartment itself wasn't that bad. The apartment was nice. It's just the neighborhood was fucked up, and I was basically had to hound the shit out of them to get the damn door replaced because that door was fucked up, man. That's how bad that neighborhood was. But going a little bit farther now, shit gets even worse. Now I ended up getting fed up with their bullshit, so I'm just like, you know what? Just send me over to the other side. Let me find it. As soon as I got an opportunity, I'll take it. I saw an opportunity, I took it. Um, Now then, here's the thing. Before I took that opportunity, before I was able to transfer it over, I had to wait for a bit. During that time, they had another female working in there, right? Another female, and she was basically being fraternizing with one of the guys there and shit. Like a lot of suspicious shit. Turns out she's married, right? And it's just like it just so happens that these women's personal business gets sprout out in the middle of the fucking place. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I don't care to know this, but all of a sudden, like they're just saying this. I'm just like, are you serious, man? Are you fucking serious? So I'm like, whatever. It turns out those two were being somewhat flirtatious. They would be on the back of the trailer and shit. I didn't get too much far into that crap. It got to a point to where the cops got called, and she ended up saying, "Fuck this." She ended up going all the way to the front, building. And that shit happened before I even made my transfer. Now I had already submitted the transfer even before she planned on leaving. Um, Strangely enough, I go over to the other building, right? Now here's the thing. The weird shit doesn't happen yet. But it happens as soon as one of those guys from that back building makes his way to the front building, he ended up doing something right in front of me, and he ended up talking to a fellow coworker as he did it. The dude, all I know is he basically pointed at me right after he after he tugged on the shoulder of the employee. He ended up pointing at me, and he took his finger, pointed it towards his head, and basically twirling it around in a circular motion, trying to make it seem as if I'm crazy. Now, a lot of TIs will tell you that is character assassination. This is something that's been happening the entire time that I was working there, ever since I made that transfer. But it's been happening even before I made the transfer, man. This is something that has just been, gotten so bad that it basically became the norm to basically just fuck with this guy every time he shows up. These people were laughing as they did it. These people were okay as they did it. They would say, look at like he's gay. Look at the way he walks. They would say like all kinds of random shit. They would constantly stare. There have been multiple attempts to, like, well, not even attempts. There were been multiple situations to where like the uniforms that I would go pick up, right? Like the suits just for the freezer area. They would have someone lace that shit with nanotech, like that fucking nano poisoning. I was being poisoned while I was there. I was being poisoned while I was working around there the entire fucking time. And they were constantly doing this. Whenever a big issue came up, right? Whenever a big issue came up, they never wanted to show me the footage. They never wanted to show me the footage. Not at all. They didn't want to review it. They didn't want to let me see it. They came up with any petty excuses until I brought up a situation to where it got to a point to where I caught a woman red-handed filming me on private property with her cell phone. She was stupid enough to do this in front of a damn security camera. So I'm like, okay, there's my fucking chance. I take that shit right up to the fucking corporate office. They ended up going like, well, she's saying that like you approached her and everything like that in a threatening manner. I'm like, you know something? I did not approach that woman like that. I didn't. I basically got her attention. I pointed to the camera and I went straight to the office. That was it. How come as soon as they checked the camera, now you want to know why they changed their story? It's because if you threaten, if you're basically making an accusation like that against somebody, you have to show them the evidence. Otherwise, what you're doing is breaking the law by just merely accusing somebody of a crime of which they did not commit without showing evidence of that crime. So they knew that shit was illegal, and they knew I would have had the exact right to demand evidence. What happens after a little while? Oh, they're saying, oh, well, like it was just a misunderstanding or whatever. That shit wasn't no misunderstanding. Nobody doesn't just say that you approached them when you didn't approach them. The bitch was hired to do it, man. She was hired to say that shit. She was told to say that because they wanted to basically get me fired. They wanted to destroy my life like they're doing the same shit to many others. I want people to understand these are the individuals that we are dealing with today. These crisis actors are no different than them. No different. I've had to watch my mom suffer. I've had to hear the stories of my own family members being also targeted by this shit in some way. They've talked. My aunt may not tell me directly, but I know for a fact they hit her with these weapons. And to my family that sees this, please make yourself a damn anti-nano bucket, okay? That will get this shit out of your system, and that will cut their weapons off. You don't even have to talk to me directly about this. Just do that for both yourself and your family because these assholes are sick in the head, okay? They are sick and twisted. They're literally being controlled by a higher power that honestly is very sinister. These people have no problem with destroying the lives of many. They have no problem with destroying the lives of kids. They have no problem with destroying the lives of anybody. They don't care. They don't. I can only hope that all the research that I've done definitely helps my family, not just my family out, but everybody else who's also suffered from this bullshit that they have done. I would have never guessed that my entire life I had to deal with an unseen enemy like this. I would have never guessed at all, man. And you know something, the situation at my job gets even much worse. There have been attempts to basically cause an accident to where like the whole foot thing, they attempted to do that again, like on 3 different occasions. There was that happening. Like I said, constant character assassination. Every time I was there, I was being made fun of as I was being hit with this weapon, having my walking being made fun of. Anytime I was walking weird, it wasn't intentional. It was because I was being tortured by these weapons. It's like having an electrical magnetic shackle on your knees and ankles while you're trying to walk, but with them fucking with it, it prevents you from walking right. Only to have people make fun of you while you're being tortured. So if people wanted to know the full scenario of that shit, that's basically what was happening. I'll be literally being fucking tortured while people are sitting there laughing their asses off while I'm being tortured. So what kind of a mindset of a person, what type of mindsets of someone to do something like that? I tell you what, man. It's very difficult to say because everybody is breathing the same air. Everybody is eating that shit that's out there in these stores that is laced with this nano shit. This nanocarbon shit, it's a very difficult situation. It's very difficult because everybody has phones. It's a very difficult situation because these towers are beaming these frequencies. It's very difficult because it's very hard to tell who's being controlled and who is not being controlled. But I tell you one thing, I don't doubt for a second that all these gang stalkers who do this shit to us, I honestly believe they are so far in control, literally being controlled that it is crazy. This is my warning to not just my family, but to everybody else. You need to understand this and understand it well. Peer pressure is not something normal. Peer pressure is a form of mind manipulation. It was designed to basically construct you into casting off your true self, the self that you are born with, in order for them to basically add in a constructed consciousness of what they feel is more appropriate to their social demographic. They tried this with me, but I rejected it. It took a while for me to catch on, but eventually I rejected it. They found out about it, they didn't like it, and all of a sudden, the shit I'm going through now is pretty obvious. It's an attempt to basically enslave the minds of many. And they've been doing this for years. People thought that JF Kennedy's speech was that apology speech that he did was an apology for the MK Ultra incident. It wasn't. That speech was an apology for the directed energy torture that they have done to people, for the experimentations that they had with people with dealing with electrical magnetic weapons and radiation. They edited the speech when it went newsworthy. That's why they assassinated him, so he wouldn't be able to go back and tell people that. They couldn't have that happen. That's the whole reason. That's all. Actually, that's only one of many other reasons why that man was assassinated. Because he was going to go public with all the shit that they were doing, and this would have been one of our former presidents saying this. Let me tell you something though. If they think I'm just gonna allow myself to be a victim of this bullshit, oh no, mm-mm, not by a long shot. There's no way. I have without a single doubt in my mind that this damn technology that they've been using is responsible for the death of my mother. They didn't even give me or anybody an explanation as to why my mom was ended up dead or why she was literally decomposing in her fucking apartment for over damn near 2 weeks. They didn't tell nobody about that. They didn't say anything about that shit of related to why she was dead. None of it. So I want people to understand. My mother did not die from natural causes. My mother was murdered. And I know because of the experience that I had with her. I know because of the experience I had without her. And there's no fucking coincidence. There isn't none. I may not even know what the true reason is precisely why they targeted her. I may not know the specific reasons why they targeted me. Let me tell you something though. To all fellow TIs out there, we're not victims. We're warriors. They know this, which is why they fear us. They have great fear of us, which is why they lace us with this nanotech to try to control us. I just want people to understand who the real enemy is here. As long as you can literally look at any type of criminal. I don't give a fuck who the criminal is. You can look at any type of criminal, and I'm telling you. Haven't you noticed the pattern there of the same repeat offenses with different people? Something that just so happens to keep reoccurring every year? You ever wondered why that happens? I'll tell you why it happens. It's because some of the stuff they put in these cartoons. It's because of some of the stuff they're putting in television. What you didn't know, if you're watching television, a TV, I'm telling you, little did you know, TV is basically mind manipulating you. This is why I wanted to have that fucking interview video with the same guy who invented the anti-nano bucket, because he goes into great detail about that. He goes into great detail about that, about how they even use the traffic lights for this. The whole Project Blue Beam thing is related to both the TVs, those smart. That's why they wanted people getting smart televisions. You ever notice the screen turns blue whenever there's no programming going through it? That's because that is clearly the thing that is being used to program you. The CIA has documentation that you can literally search for and get without any problems that they will literally tells you to your face. Yes, we are putting subliminal messaging and basically mind manipulation technology through your television set. Watch Out of Shadows and you will find out, you will literally see the document that you need to check out. Watch Out of Shadows and you will literally see all the information you need to know that they are mind manipulating you through your television set. It's too literally, man, everywhere we go, and this whole fucking grid is surrounded by frequencies through your outlets, through your Wi-Fi. And even if you don't have Wi-Fi, your neighbors got Wi-Fi. Makes worse, the cell towers, all this other shit happening. And it's just crazy. It is just crazy. Think about all of that radiation being pumped out by these negative frequencies, man. Just surrounded by it. Electronic tubes all underground, around every fucking street corner you go through, around every down street. And not to mention the smart meters. The fact that those things caught on fire a while back. The fact that these things do have harmful EMF radiation as well. Let's not forget about that either. Listen, I don't believe God would ever, I don't believe God would ever hate anyone who's being mind manipulated like that, you know? But in the end, it's when we are allowed to find out the information of how to break free from that manipulation. That's when things start to really become accountable towards us. You know, that's when things really start to matter because that's as long as we're still willing to look for the solution and fight this shit. It's when we are keeping hold of our true selves in our own soul. Is that by the very act of when you put on your protection, whether it's shielding, whether it's chemical shielding, fabric shielding, metallic shielding, when you use an anti-nano bucket, when you speak, when you make videos speaking out of your experiences as a targeted individual, that is you rejecting the beast system from controlling you and taking away your soul. When you're willing to basically stand up and fight like that, is when you are. It's literally a showing of rejecting this beast system. People who don't show their faces, man, who um who are behind. I'm not saying everybody who doesn't show their face is a part of this shit. Trust me. I get where you're coming from, but you need to understand that fear. Because I started when I first made the guide channel. That's how I was. You can just go ahead and check it out for yourself. You'll see the first videos that I made. I did not show my face until like later on, and this when I started to realize that the perps they weren't showing their faces at all. So I'm like, I'm not trying to put myself in line as a fucking perp. So I need to show my damn face. And it wasn't until I started to hear the what this lawyer was talking about, how much of a how much benefit that actually gives you. Not only by you showing your face that shows your identity, but by making other fellow targeted individuals aware of your identity, makes them aware of your location, and makes them aware that what's happening to them is happening into your location, and the people around that location are most likely involved. Now, my mother, I don't think she did this. I don't think she knew about what a target individual was. Maybe she did. I don't know. I really, really don't know. I know one thing, though. I'm not finna stop fighting for either myself or fellow target individuals. I'm not even gonna stop fighting for my family either. I'm gonna continue fighting for them until we actually put a stop to this destructive organization. I have no I have no doubt that there's no way in the world that they're going to succeed with what they're planning. Too much, too much corruption is exposed, dude. Too much. So this is my warning to TIs. They most likely are going to send agents towards you to basically try to get you to join up with them. Do not fall for this. This is the second time I'm mentioning this because apparently, this is a thought. They have been reaching out to several other TIs. You see, they want to buy us off because we're that much of a. The reason why they want to buy us off is because we're that much of a risk to them. We can end this shit. We can put a stop to their destructive organization. These assholes can't be trusted. Look at what they have done. They've tortured you. They put you through sleep deprivation. They put you in a state to lose your job, to not be able to provide for your family. They have stalked you. They have harassed you. They have stolen from you. They've launched smear campaigns against you. And it isn't until they're on the defensive that they want to make things, they want to basically try to give you a way out. Are you fucking serious? No. I'm going to see this shit through until they're fucking destroyed. Until their whole operation is destroyed and dismantled. And the people responsible are literally locked behind bars. Even no matter the danger. Because I know if we don't fight this shit, who will? I believe it is up to all of us to fight this bullshit for the next generation so that they don't suffer the same fate that we have suffered. So that they don't have to suffer from any of this. So they don't have to deal with any of this. It's one thing that our ancestors were blind and dumbed down by all of this bullshit, but it is up to all of us, whether you are a target individual or not, to put a stop to this so that your children don't have to deal with it, This is MM. This is my message to both my family, my fellow target individuals out there, and many other truth activists and truth speakers. Remember, the chemtrails, the nanodust is not a conspiracy theory. It is not.